Good morning, Jermaine.
Good
Clark
morning
here?
there, sir.
No, he's not.
No Clark today. Hey, Michelle.
Hey,
Thank you for hanging around
no problem.
and providing some clarification in terms of the question I asked. So, just so people know, on Michelle's program, she had mentioned that our colleague Will Martin is running for lieutenant governor. I asked a question: if once we get through the primary in August and November, conceivably could Will get more votes than whoever the nominee is, and whether or not he would be seated as lieutenant governor because he got more votes for lieutenant governor. But you called the election commission, and the answer was
Yep, I called the election commission, and by the time we get to the general election, the lieutenant governor and the governor run as a package deal. So even though we vote independently, I guess for the lieutenant governor in that general election, it's that governor's race that's going to determine the outcome for the lieutenant governor who will be seated as a lieutenant governor. But your choice after the primary is over, that's where you're gonna make that choice. By the time we get to the general, they are running as a package deal.
so. If people wanted to vote for Will Martin in the primary, they would have to then vote all Republican in that
Right,
primary. They
right,
couldn't do Democrat then Republican.
right. Because you again, and and I talk about it being split ticket voting, but yeah, you're gonna pull up that the first time I think when you vote, it's gonna take you to all the Republican names. You won't get to like go back and forth. Although I was reading something that said that Wisconsin voters are untethered. We don't declare whether we are a Democrat or a Republican, because if in some states you declare that up front,
New York, Illinois.
right? So those are the only ballots you are going to get. In Wisconsin, that's why people would talk about we should go to the polls and everybody vote in a Republican primary
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get rid of the candidate we don't want to see. So that's what they mean when they say, I was reading something that says Wisconsin voters are untethered to their party politically when you first go cast your ballot. You do not say, oh, I'm Michelle, I'm a Democrat, I'm only voting for the Democrat. I can vote in either primary. But once I pick one, that's the primary I got to vote in. I can't
And in
then
the
cross over
general,
into
I
the.
can vote for any candidate. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
you
can.
can.
Yeah,
Yes, you
you
still
can.
can vote for any candidate, but you're gonna stay within that party. You're not
I
gonna.
don't think you tethered. There's people they could vote for.
Well, oh no, yeah, because you can vote for a
It happened with
Republican.
Trump,
Yeah,
Trump
yeah,
and Baldwin.
yeah, you
Right.
can vote
Well,
for. Yeah,
Baldwin won her election,
I'm
but
sorry, because now, but that's federal elections. That's not local
right, right. But I'm
or
saying,
state elections.
okay.
Yeah, that's federal.
Well, as
So.
we get closer to it, let's see what those ballots look like. No,
Oh,
because thank you
uh,
for the political science 101 lesson. I think people we need to understand how it works.
yeah, and somebody really literally was asking me about this yesterday because people say, well, I like to be able to support both brothers in this race,
Mhm.
even though they're on different political sides of the aisle. And I'm just like, that's not how this is going to work. You're not going to really be able to support
If you
both
want,
both brothers,
if you want Will to get over,
right?
then you need to vote for him in the primary.
Right.
Right.
But that means you would not be voting for David in the primary.
Exactly.
So you're gonna still end up picking one or the other. If you vote for Will, um, to be lieutenant governor, that means you would not be able to vote for David to be able to run for governor. Um, see, so it's not a neat, clean way to do this. When you have two, like I said, because people said, what if I just want to support both brothers? That's not how this works.
Yeah, because I think
In
down
their
in
in different
Georgia,
political parties.
that's how it
And
could
here.
work. Yeah. So okay. No, I
Yep.
think we um and speaking of excuse me, Arnold Schwarzenegger did an interview
Yes.
and
He did.
but he said something that when I was a student, people had talked about where election day should be a holiday.
Yeah. A lot of places it is.
A lot of places it's not.
True.
And now, if you worked for the county, I don't know what it was like for the state, but that's then when they had labor unions going way back. You basically could take time off to go vote.
I think some people gave you 2 hours, some people gave you 4
Where you
hours
could go vote.
to go vote.
Um, and you know, but the idea that when we were in Panama, we we got there for a national election.
Oh, interesting.
And so one of the things they do in Panama, we used to do here, we don't do anymore, is you can't sell any liquor for 24 hours during that
Really?
election day. Right.
Interesting.
And it was on a Sunday. So that means people have no excuse. So you see other
The
countries,
election was on a Sunday?
elections on a Sunday.
Interesting.
I know Louisiana does some of their elections on Saturday.
Okay.
Uh,
Didn't know.
yeah, and it's probably their state elections.
Okay.
That the federal election for president has to be, what is that, first Tuesday in November.
hmm
Um, so I think people, you know, and there people been arguing. I think it should be a holiday. You shut everything down. It theoretically, then you'd have more people participating. If the Republicans saw that it was a benefit, trust me, they would do the enactment to allow or change it, but they don't because somebody just pointed out. I don't know who's my guy on Sirius. Is that Clay?
Are you talking about the 59%?
Yeah.
Did you? Is that the? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clay Kane.
Clay Kane, and he was talking about
The numbers.
the numbers are that America, compared to other countries in the world, have low voter participation.
Did you hear him break down the black number, which
Mhm.
was alarming? So Clay Kane yesterday, and I was going to talk about it today, so I'm actually glad you brought this up. Clay Kane said that the numbers have come in for the 2024 November presidential election. Black voter turnout was 59.6%. Of that 59.6%, 15% of Black people voted for Donald Trump. 1% voted independent. So when you really look at the totals, while Black voter turnout was 59.6%, only 43% of Black people actually voted for the Democratic candidate.
Now, let me say this to Brother Kane. It depends on where those black folks were, and I think that's the little caveat when you look at the numbers. In a state like Wisconsin, which was so close, that 15% could be significant.
Yeah, I
In
think.
another state like Mississippi, where it really don't matter because it's red,
But
you know.
I think the broader piece was that our voter turnout in a year when you got a Black woman running for president, that the turnout was low because they went back and looked. They compared it to 2019. Different point. I think that was like the second lowest voter turnout we have had as a Black community. Overall voter turnout was low. That was one thing. But the other thing is that it's been interesting, and what I took from it as somebody who pays attention to this stuff, the Democratic Party right now is Black folks looking sideways at the Democratic Party because there has been this push now to go, what do we do to recapture white or to go after white voters? The white male voters who consistently vote Republican. We got a lot of white females who consistently vote Republican. What do we do to get some of these people? And so in the course of trying to figure that out, there seems like there has been a pushing to the side Black folks. And one of the things that 43% that Clay brought up for me is a flag for Democrats to say, while you chasing white voters, many of whom have consistently not voted with the Democratic Party since the 60s, you gonna mess around and also lose your base because there is some degree of ignoring Black voters, and nobody likes to be taken for granted. So the Democratic Party only had 43% of Black voters is I think the broader message. And if the Democrats are not careful, they're going to see that number be chipped away again as you try to run around trying to figure. I mean, it's just like what happened in the U.S. Senate race when Black people was paying attention, and it felt like we know on some level you got to court people differently than you court us, and we willing to give some grace. But when it becomes clear that you ain't paying no attention to us, you gonna just take our vote for granted because you chasing down white votes, Black people will leave your behind hanging. And so I think that was one of the things that became clear for me with Clay Kane's numbers. You got 43%, so 60% of people just doing something different. I just think we got to pay attention to that.
But
more Black people didn't vote than did
but
vote.
I think you also have to micro target. White people decide who's president. So let's just be clear on that. So when they say, well, Black people didn't show up to vote, in some cases, it may or may not have made a difference.
But I think we need to be careful even saying that.
No, I say that because
we don't show, because we don't show up though.
But what I'm saying is, if you had a 90% Black turnout in Mississippi, it's not going to have the same impact if you have a 90% Black turnout in Milwaukee.
Right. In Wisconsin.
So it depends
because we're only 13% of the population.
I agree on that general number.
Or 7% of the population.
Right. And the two times that Trump has won, and this is why, I'm just taking it now from a political scientist lens, was folks who normally didn't vote, primarily white males,
right,
who turned out to vote.
But
that was the margin of victory.
But the counter was you got Black folks who had come out who also did not come out. So you had one group come out who traditionally hadn't come out.
Right.
And then you had a group of Black people who had been coming who decided to sit it out.
Well, in Milwaukee, didn't we have a higher than expected turnout of Black voters in this election in the city of Milwaukee?
Did. Well, Milwaukee had a higher voter turnout.
Right. But
I'm trying to remember
what muted that, because that was the probably.
But that turnout does not still account for how many of those Black voters voted for Republicans.
But I'm saying it's still driven by Charlie Kirk figured it out. And you always have to give the devil his due. That you can only it's like because we are so segregated, where Black people find themselves is in the situation where in Michigan it would have made a difference, but in Michigan the margin of victory was that large Middle Eastern population, right?
Muslims.
Right. So when you, and now because if you're looking at the Electoral College, then what does that mean? Because that's why when Obama ran, they did something that a lot of Democrats didn't want to do. They had a 50-state
strategy,
approach. Right. Not for Black people, to turn out white people and to get them to then trust him. So all I'm saying, depending on where you are, generally he's correct. But when you start getting on the micro level, you have to look at where those Black voters are coming. Because he also talked about how Mandami won that primary and didn't need Black votes to win the primary.
Right.
And so what does that look like? And then they said going forward, because the sister he had on with him yesterday, she also has a podcast.
Larry Daniels' Favor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying.
She comes on the same time you are. Yeah.
But the point she was making was, well, he don't have to come to Will Kane. He don't have to come to me, talking about Mondami.
Right.
Because that's not where he's getting his votes.
Right.
Yeah. So I think when you go in and you mine it, I think the Democratic Party can walk and chew gum. I mean, you got this strategy here, but you still also have to make sure that you maintain your base and do what you need to do to maintain your base. Again, the thing that's not captured in polling are people who normally don't participate, as they call them, the apolitical set. They don't. So you don't measure them, right? You how can you measure them? Because in your mind they don't exist. I don't know how after 2020 you didn't realize that, seeing that coming in 2024. They had to be aware of what Charlie Kirk was doing. They had to be aware of that. But I think that they thought, well, and
wait,
yeah,
who had to be aware?
The Democratic Party.
I'm gonna say yes and no.
I mean, I am.
People, I'm just gonna say yes.
You got people. That's what they do.
Yeah, true, you do. But I still think that people can get locked in on certain types of data and stats and what they're paying attention to.
You gotta look at all the data.
And you're supposed to.
You gotta look at all
you're supposed
the data
to.
But and then the fact that it happened to you twice. because that's what happened in 2020. Really. And then in 2020, not only did you have an increase of people who normally didn't vote, you had a decrease of your base who decided because they had an issue with Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And so all those things, and we hear this term, we talk about it a lot. You hear these terms, these are margin elections. What did Trump win by the popular vote? By 1 million vote?
Yeah, I mean, he won Wisconsin.
No, I'm saying the general population.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, our vote margin was 20,000 votes in Wisconsin.
It was 22,000 votes in 2020.
Right. So it's like, yeah.
And so I'm saying, because it's the margins, you just got to figure out, and the money that they're putting in the Turning Point, because now
and Turning Point is revamping here in Wisconsin.
It is.
Yeah.
But see, once we get past that mourning period,
yeah,
people start being people. And they're already talking about there's internal conflict within Turning Point.
Right. It's in the paper today.
Yeah. That'll be part, because when it was just him, he was,
because everybody jockeying for the leader who was, direction, how far is too far, what do we say? Just like this guy that Trump had nominated, I forgot what the position was, and now the stuff is coming out on him. He's supposed to be getting ready for his confirmation hearings, but he says I'm a little Nazi-ish or something. I got a Nazi streak, and then of course the typical racist attacks against blacks, and so you realize, like, people trying to figure out, like, what can we tolerate? How far do we go with some of the Kirk rhetoric? And I think that's going to be, because some of this, like you said, what plays in Texas won't play in Wisconsin.
Which gets us to the No Kings Day. Part of what it was look where they held, or those rallies were held. And a couple of things that sends off alarms. One, why are the Republicans so determined to redraw district lines?
To maintain power.
But why? Because they know their polling is showing that the policies are unpopular.
Right.
The impact, like, what was one of the things they did? I'm trying to think what was one of the pieces of the big, beautiful bill that won't kick in until after the midterms.
Right, because they didn't want that backlash.
They didn't want that, but they're already getting the backlash now on the Affordable Care.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to begin to see.
Because the story that's in the paper today, Wisconsin farmers are going to be hit heavily,
right,
if they don't get those subsidies for the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
A lot of these are Republicans, but they are going to be hit very hard if they don't get it. So yeah, they know the damage that's being done.
And you always,
and you see North Carolina is now getting in on the whole
right, because you always lose seats the first midterm after a president is elected.
But what we're seeing now, and that's what is making me so fearful. I listened to the representative, I can't think of the sister's name, out of North Carolina, when she said at one point we had 7 and 7 in terms of congressional seats. Mm-hmm. And Republicans, through gerrymandering, decided, no, we want to lock up a better situation for ourselves. So then they got it where there were 10 to 4. Now they're trying to alter the map so that it'll be 11 to 3. And you are consistently minimizing the voice of a huge segment of people of color. And then you getting control of the House.
But then there are people now where even in some of these, and I think we have to see what that looks like, because 2026 is an eternity. But it's really close.
Is it?
But look to see, and that's why I said where you saw those rallies is important. What you're seeing in town hall meetings, where these are in deep red states, and there's anger in these town hall meetings, and these are not Democrats that they flew in.
Right.
These are Republicans who begin to understand that at some point, when you look at the impact of the Affordable Care Act, the biggest beneficiaries are people who voted for Trump. And then after a while, so we'll see. But I just think that when they look at the numbers, and then the other thing is that those bros who will show up for a national election will probably not show up for a midterm.
No.
Now that's another fear.
They're not.
Because part of what was driving you was, again.
And that was one of the things I think that was concerning, because a lot of, like, even in the Black community, a lot of folks will show up for the national, for that presidential, but they won't show up for the local stuff.
Local.
And then when the numbers weren't even there for the presidential, now you looking like, well, wait a minute, what's going on?
But
So
when Ernell Lucas was elected sheriff
yeah,
that year,
mm-hmm.
big turnout for August election,
Right?
because it was a referendum on Trump, right? Because that would have been Trump.
Yeah, I mean, but like everybody had been sick
Trump
of.
won in 2016. He didn't win in 2020.
Everybody was
Joe
sick of
Biden
David
won.
Clark. He was coming out to
That's what
support
I'm
a
saying. And so
brother.
I'm saying that there are things out there that people are kind of. I think you right on point. They're getting up to the edge. Then when do you get to the point that even when some of your supporters, because they've already lost independence, they know that
Right.
that's gone, and so now and that's why even when you listen to what they talk about where Trump is with his base, okay, because that's all he concerns himself with.
Yeah, I think I don't know if we're running it this morning or as a part of our news segment where it say even 42% of his people don't like the way certain things are happening, even though he still enjoys.
And this is the second time he's done farmers.
Yeah.
This is the second time he done farmers.
But like I said, but this time, and that's why I appreciated that conversation, because then I'm able to backfill the damage by, doing some type of aid package for you. But as the farmers are saying, but the damage that you are doing is so extensive that even if you give us aid, if we replant, we have nobody to sell it to.
That's the other thing. What do I do?
We have nowhere to take our soybeans, man. You are, because of the tariffs, you cutting our legs
And there's
off.
a difference when I'm selling the soybean. Are you going to get me what the market price is for those soybeans? Or are you going to come up with, I'm going to get you enough where you can take care of your loans?
This guy already said on CNN a couple of weeks ago. I talked about on the show. Under Biden, under Obama, we getting $13 for the thing of soybeans. Under Trump, in both administrations, we're getting $9.39.
And guess where China's going to buy their soybeans now?
Where the country
Argentina.
Who we just I talked about that.
Argentina.
That's why the farmers start snapping like, how dare you do a currency exchange that gives Argentina $20 billion in influx in cash? Is it 40 now?
They had to do 40 because 20 wasn't enough.
Yeah. And then the farmers raising hell like, you do know this is our competitor. You propping up now our competitor. So
is it true that China is purchasing farmland here in the United States?
They have been. They trying to stop it.
They tried to. Yeah. They what the concern has been not so much where they were buying it.
Right.
They seem to be buying it near military installations. Yeah.
Which again makes the Qatar piece even more scary.
Well, the Qatar piece though, ask the question: who's building that base?
The base is it's a
no. They're financing it. They're not finding Qatari workers. So what company?
But they're going to be training Qatari
listen to what I'm
people
asking
there.
You. Yeah. But part of that, the cost, you got to build that portion of that base for Qatar. Who's building that? Okay, let me do it this way. When we went into Iraq, who was the major beneficiary of non-governmental organizations who benefited when we went into Iraq?
You sound like these private groups.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, you got to pay somebody to build the building. That contractor is probably hooked up with Trump. So that's money in their pocket.
True. But the whole piece still of Qatar being allowed to have and store some of their planes there and be trained there.
Well, because they bought
it's
the planes
crazy
from us. They bought our planes.
Okay.
And what is the Qatari
What do they
Air
do
Force?
once they get our planes?
That's the point.
They retrofit. They
don't get. They'll get the F-16. Well, the F-16 is obsolete. The Americans don't even use F-16s.
Okay, but think about this though, Keith. This man is now saying that the plane that the Qatars built that he's now going to be retrofitting for Air Force One.
They bought from Boeing.
That they bought from Boeing, but then they did their own thing to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying we can't underestimate these people's ability to take what we consider obsolete and turn it into something that can be lethally used against our own people. These are not dumb people.
I'm looking at scale and the Qataris.
Why would we allow this? What's the benefit?
There's a company that's going to benefit from it. Trust me.
Why would we as America allow this? I understand
Because
the business
Qatari
side of it.
is not a real security threat to America.
Why would we allow
other
anybody to
than
do
the
this?
terrorists that they finance. But other than that, there are no real security threat to us.
Okay.
Thank you for that, though.
No, thank you.
I
Good
want to thank
conversation.
everybody for being part of Political Science 101. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. More Americans say President Donald Trump is pushing the boundaries of executive power in his second term, and many see that as a problem. New numbers from the Pew Research Center shows that 49% of U.S. adults believe Trump is trying to take on more authority than past presidents. That concern isn't limited to political opponents. Among Republicans and those who lean Republican, 42% say the president has definitely used his office to punish people who criticize him. Still, Trump's support inside the party remains strong. Nearly 3/4 of Republicans say his leadership has improved how the country functions and how it's viewed around the world. Now, Pew also found that 31% of Republicans believe Trump has improperly used the presidency to benefit himself or those close to him. That number is up from 23% when Pew asked the same.
My, Tessa Thompson.
Yes, sir.
Lord, Lordy. Oh, Tessa. All right, welcome back. There will be no Be Healthy, Be You today. I know a lot of people tune in today, but they will be rejoining us next Tuesday. Let me.
Keith?
Yes, sir.
Blue Jays. Did you watch that game?
I did.
What a turn of events.
Man. Well, what did they say? You got to have home run hitters when you get in the playoffs. And this dude had been struggling.
What's his name, Springer?
Yeah, he had been struggling, man. And I guess he had a great regular season, but what was that, a 2-run homer? 3
run, because the score was 3-1.
Right, and they went up 4-3.
Right.
And then you bring in
He knew when he left the bat.
Oh man, and you know, I've been watching baseball more and more. It sounds differently.
Yeah, it do.
You know, you go like you can when you feel it.
He got all of that, as they
right,
say.
and then I love what they do. Just watch it.
Yep.
You know, just watch it. Should be a fascinating. I don't know in the interleague play what the Dodgers. I should look it up. What the Dodgers and the Blue Jays did in terms of interleague play.
Regular season.
Yeah, and who controlled that. But as I say all the time, the Dodgers are built for this, y'all. That's how baseball works, man. You stockpile that talent, and if you can get to the playoffs, that's the money.
Well, their strength is their pitching, though, isn't it?
And hitting.
Man,
Man, they got all around.
Man, they got, and then when you have a pitcher that can hit,
It's ridiculous.
you know. And I
We
was
had a
thinking about
pitcher hit
that.
3
You know,
home
now
runs.
that both leagues use the DH.
Mhm.
You know, me and DJ was talking, and he was upset with Adam Silver because Adam Silver said that the NBA is a highlight league. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I go to games to see dunks and incredible moves, and I told him, I said, so show me on the NBA channel where they're showing you the 10 best back picks in the NBA. Show me that highlight reel, right? This is the
top
best
10
screens,
screens.
the top 10 screens in the NBA. You don't see it,
They
right?
say the 10 best inbounders.
Yeah, 10 best inbound passes ever in the NBA. You don't, because that's not what people go to an NBA game for. You go to an NBA game, you want to see a dunk, you want to see fast break, you want to see threes, you want to see great moves. You know, and I was getting, so the point I was making, like in baseball, when in the National League, they didn't have the DH, it's a different strategy, right? Because now you got to figure out, they've taken that piece of the game out, which was pretty boring, to be very honest with you. Here's the other thing that you're seeing that's not going to be very effective. All that little small ball, it don't work in the playoffs.
Well,
it don't work.
Well,
you got to be able to hit, and you got to have great pitching.
Yep. Well, for this whole DH thing, they actually added that because the pitchers would come up and stink up the joint, being that ninth batter.
Right.
Like they would stink up the joint. So they was like,
But
okay,
they had been
well,
stinking up the joint for 100 years.
yeah, stinking it up, Jack.
You know,
So-
with the exception of Babe Ruth,
right.
who when he played, not only was he a great pitcher, he was hitting home runs when he was pitching for. He stopped pitching when he went to the Yankees, but when he was with the Red Sox,
Yeah, he was
that was his pitching and hitting. Otani.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, that whole strategy piece that you have out there, that's taken out now. And another thing I'm glad they eliminated was those shifts.
Now, actually, that actually hurt the Brewers because
Right.
that shift, if they would have been when they hit that ground ball and he missed
And
it,
everybody's on this side.
everybody's
of
on
the
the
field.
other side. Yeah.
I mean, I just think, no, let's hit them where they ain't.
right. Yeah.
You know,
Makes sense.
so, but that one, I didn't mind. I thought that was a bad one to get. You know, I'm a nominal baseball viewer, but no, in terms of that, but the DH now, and that's why when you look at the batting average in the American League compared to the National League, I think the person won was like 290 something. In the American League, it was 3 something.
Yeah.
It's a hitter's league,
hitter's
man.
league.
And then you get the pitching, so it should be an interesting matchup. I can say interesting.
Toronto, yeah.
Toronto,
I said
and
Toronto.
yeah, I didn't know.
That cat that hit that home run when they was down 3-1. What was his name? Springer.
Yeah, and Springer hadn't done anything, so he sprung.
Dude, he stood up and stood straight up. and watched it go out.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, Doc.
And that's what me and Debo was saying on the break. When it leaves the bat,
Doc,
you know it.
Yeah.
You know it when it
So
leaves the bat, like
that's almost
boom,
like when you shoot,
and you know
and you
it's
can
just,
feel it that when you know it's good. Yeah.
There was a brother back in the day, and this brother Bush, and Bush would shoot that jumper,
Woo.
and he turned.
Because he know.
You know, it's like Steph Curry.
It's
He
like
don't
how
even sit and
feel.
watch it go in. He going down, setting up for defense.
Right, because it's like a certain feeling that when it roll off your
Automatic.
hand, though, you know.
Automatic. Yeah. All right. Caller, welcome to the program.
What's going on, brother?
Brother, you need to be not as transparent. First of all, good morning, but you need not to be as transparent. The only reason why you called me this early is that the Seahawks won last night. That's the only reason. Because normally we wouldn't hear from you until next Sunday, and I ain't even on those Sundays.
Hey, you look at it and call you at 6:59 when you get through.
Hey, Debo, calling Sharon's program. How y'all doing? Like, dude, the Seahawks lost? You calling on Sunday?
Hey, listen.
You must have got no sleep last night. This must have been like waiting for Christmas morning.
And I'm two victories from. I should have been calling you last week.
Yeah, you was late on that.
I wasn't late on it, man. Sometimes I just can't call, but I'm calling today. You lucky I didn't
you
call
made
you.
away today. It's amazing when they win how you can get in.
It depends if Debo on the line or not. Debo on the line, I take forever to get through.
Man, you know, then who was? I don't know if it was you, or the other brother. Oh, I couldn't get through till Friday.
Right.
They gonna stop lying. Stop it, man. We ain't that busy.
And you know, sometimes when I can't get through, that means y'all won. But when I
we'll see what it sounds like on Monday, because it's gonna be hard for the Packers to go and beat the Steelers.
Oh, y'all gonna play Aaron.
Yeah, but that's right.
Stop it, man. Yeah, Pittsburgh trash, man. They defense is trash.
What you mean trash? Aren't they like 4-1?
Yeah, they might be trash, but I bet you they can beat the Cardinals, and y'all struggled against them.
We beat them.
Barely.
Man, it was ugly.
It don't matter though whether you win by 1 or by 91. You still won.
The Packers played down?
Yeah, they played down, man.
Man, they didn't play that good against them, man. You didn't think that game was gonna be that close, did you?
No, but you know, something that tends to be showing a pattern is they have a tough time winning on the road.
Yeah,
Well, one thing is that's why you play the game.
Yeah, because any given
you don't
Sunday,
play the game on paper. I don't care nothing about the paper.
Right.
You got to get out there.
yeah, right. Any given Sunday, man.
And these are pro. You know, these things are good. Yeah, man.
So
I met your dad.
I know y'all like that fro, didn't y'all, man?
Yeah. How long is your dad? Now he's down at MATC, right?
Yeah, he's been down there for like almost 30-something years.
That's what I thought. I used to see him in meetings. Yeah. Okay.
He the print. He used to be the print manager, but now he's the head of everything down there.
Okay.
Yeah. But what you call it? Mike Adams, he done for the year. Collarbone.
Who?
For Tampa Bay, their receiver.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. And he just got back from India.
He just got back.
Just got broken collarbone. Yeah. He just got back. Man.
I think that party over for a while too.
Yeah. And they were doing pretty well without him.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And but hey, man, come on, that dude. That Antonio Freeman. When Michelle and I was talking to him, Antonio Freeman said he is the best wide receiver in football, game recognized game. So he said that. Yeah. He played with Manziel, right? Wasn't that who he played with in college?
That's him.
Yeah, he played with Manziel. And you found out that Baker Mayfield found out some of his weaknesses because a lot of his balls last night was just high. And I don't know if he couldn't get it over, but I'm talking like receivers were open, man, and he was overthrowing them.
He must have watching Jordan Love tapes.
Who Jordan, Aaron, Brett Love.
Man, he still just can't put that ball in that pocket, man. He just overthrows, man.
My favorite character was Dude Love. Dude Love.
Let me guess. I know you didn't watch the Seahawks game last night, did you?
Yeah, I did. Oh man, I was the baseball game. I watched the Lions. Hey man, it's gonna be tough going up to Detroit when we play them because
Beast, man.
yeah, man. They said, man, once that line got straight, it's gonna be pretty hard to beat them.
But you know,
Lions looked good last night.
He didn't do a lot of fourth and goals this year so far.
Yeah, that's the thing about that particular
go
coach.
For it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it.
Campbell will coach himself out of a game trying to be the that genius. Sometimes don't be so smart. Smart yourself.
But he does that because he doesn't rely on that field goal kicker. Just like he almost missed that field goal. He almost missed that field goal, dude? That just barely went in.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Debo said, man. That's why you play the game, because there's all these X factors out there. Was he arguing with his wife before he got there? It'd be a whole lot of stuff going on when you because sports is a mental game. It really is. I mean, no matter what in sports, it's where your mindset is. Physically, it's great. You have some of the people with the greatest talent in the world, but in terms of DeMarcus Russell had a great arm. But boy, if you don't bother to watch tape or even read the playbook, there's going to be a problem, because there's a reason why they have the playbook. There's a reason why they run into plays, because these are world-class athletes, man. And people miss that little point. Like, we be talking about the scrubs on the Bucks bench. Trust me, those scrubs that you think are scrubs on the Bucks,
they'll beat you.
They'll stump you.
And they'll beat you.
Yeah, I guess Kenyon Martin had a problem with
everybody.
Yeah, but he had a problem with the
everybody.
Bucks signing the two other
brothers.
The two other brothers. Stop.
No, it was a bunch of them. They said Westbrook had a problem too.
Yeah, because he was looking for a spot on the team and when nobody signed him, so he ended up signing.
Man, nobody want to sign Westbrook no more. He had a good year last year, but man, his attitude sucked, dude.
Who did he sign with? The Kings, right?
He signed with the Kings.
Yeah,
that's what you get. Welcome to Sac.
Did you see all the new Bucks jerseys? They fly, man.
Yeah, they dope, man. Yeah. Of course, I seen it.
I hope the game is as good as the unis.
AJ, baby, I'm going to the game tomorrow.
Hey, man, my junior year we won a state championship. So when you become a champion, you start getting donations, right? So someone donated us new uniforms, man. I mean, we had the warm-ups, dude. Those uniforms were so white. When we came in the gym, it looked like the heavenly host. That's how white those uniforms. Oh man, we were so clean. But you know what?
It got whooped.
Y'all didn't play good.
We didn't play as good as those uniforms. I wish we played up to the uniform level.
Since you said that, who told you Oregon always has the best uniform?
Yeah, that's because of Nike.
Man, because the owner was somebody used to work there or something like that, or someone went to the school, right?
The guy who really I don't know if Phil Knight went to Oregon, but that's where Steve Prefontaine was from, and his coach was the one who developed the track shoe that Nike did, and then Nike went into like the basketball shoe. But yeah, so Oregon, I mean, it's Nike's based in Oregon.
Oh, no wonder they get mad, because they got the coldest helmet, coldest field. They got anything got to do with coldest, they got it.
Yeah, and poor Wisconsin, they got to go to Oregon, and I don't think they got to go to Indiana too. I don't know why this dude won't fire Luke Fickell. Luke Fickell is not the answer here. He is not the answer. And I'm part of the Grateful Red, but I'm getting a little frustrated right now because this is going nowhere. How we used to be like, we couldn't beat the Penn States and Ohio States and the Michigans, but we were still going to bowls. They're not even going to go to a bowl this year.
Did you? They said the Vikings make a mistake getting rid of Sam Darnold, or what?
Well, I think they think the upside of J.J. McCarthy is so much better than Sam Darnold. I know Seattle's happy to get him.
Sam Darnold's throwing it in there, man. He's putting it in there.
Yeah, he had a good season with Minnesota last year.
Yeah,
I think they decided they wanted to go a different direction, and they go with J.J. McCarthy. I didn't think much of J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, but
Hey,
Kinda,
I'm glad
as we
I
say,
got.
it's the Rudy syndrome.
It's better. Sam is better than Gino. Gino got 10 interceptions. Garbage.
Yeah. All right,
All right,
man.
now.
All right, peace. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Oh my goodness! I thought I was gonna never able to reach you. Well, anyway, I was listening to you, Michelle, talking about politics. One thing I got to say, I'm kind of resentful, is that at least in your state, at least the people come by and the Democrats and Republicans come by and see you. Here, I don't think ever since Obama came here in 2008, Colorado, have any of the Democrats come? They just come for a fundraiser and that's it.
Oh no,
And,
you're talking about in Colorado because man, look,
yeah,
I talked to so many
because
people
I
during the
understand
election
that.
cycle.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that I'm a little miffed because these guys, the Democrats only come by when they want to get fundraisers.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, they don't even show up here at all.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so it's good that your state is at I'd say swing state. One time we were swing state, but I think the last election, I think it was 200,000 votes that she won by in Colorado, but she lost about 41 counties in Colorado.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Trump did to punish Colorado was he moved one of the rocket bases to Huntsville from Colorado, because I think Colorado's becoming blue. Colorado used to be purple, right?
Be purple?
Yeah,
and,
Colorado.
no, but yeah, it used to be. But like I said, most of the state is red, but those are rural areas like you have in Wisconsin. But a lot of people don't live in the rural areas, but they live in mostly Denver Metro, and they live in Fort Collins and Boulder, and those are where the heavy hitters are. That's where the good majority of the population is. But there's 64 counties in Colorado, and she lost 41 of 20. And so one thing they didn't mention too, the Democrats are getting a little afraid too, at least in this state, is that they call them independents any other place, but over 51% of the people are now they're registering to become unaffiliated.
Right.
And,
which in some ways I think is healthy. That means that both parties have to compete for that vote.
Right.
It's different once they kind of know I'm in the fold. They don't have to worry about me as much or do enough to keep me in the fold. But if I have to go out and I have to literally compete for 51% of the voters, that means the resources are going to be there. There are all these other benefits that the voter has where now I'm not being taken for granted and just assume. I think when people say, well, why do black people vote overwhelmingly Democrat? Well, because when you find out where we are in this country and our position in this country, especially around issues of government, black folks, we and some of us are more dependent on government than others. I think, but then on the social issue, black folks are very conservative. And so
one thing I found out too, Keith, is that a lot of the black people used to be staunch Democrats. Now they're switching over to be, I see them more and more of them say, man, I'm not going to vote by party. I'm going to vote for, I'm going unaffiliated.
Right.
I'm finding more and more black people are going that route because they're not happy with either parties. And so I'm just going to be looking at the personality. What can they do for me? And
do you think though, when you say that, should we be more collective in our thinking? Not so much what happens to me, and I'm always voting me, right? Because me is the most important person to me. But I'm saying, should we not, like, for example, I am not directly impacted by SNAP running out of money because of the government shutdown. But at the same time, now again, this is based on life experience where I know, because that's where I work, how people depend on this just to live. Then I'm looking at it. So I can't have an abortion, but I'm supportive of a woman's right to have that's more collective than something that individually benefits me.
Uh-huh.
Well, it could. Um, but I'm just saying in terms.
If you told me that you were pregnant, Chief, I would say,
No,
"Oh my
not that
goodness,
I got pregnant.
what has happened, man?" I know they've had a lot of sex changes, and a lot of people are going that route. I mean, but I say one thing, Chief.
But you can
would
change
be
your
one
sex,
ugly
but
woman.
but
Don't be offended.
if I'm a man and I transition to a woman, the one thing I won't be able to do is carry a child. I am not, no matter
Thank
what
goodness.
they do.
You'd
Yeah, I
be
mean, I'm
one
just saying
ugly,
in terms of
you're a
that.
better looking man than a woman.
Yeah, well, I don't know about all that, but I'm just saying in terms of what I'm able to do. And I think for some people, that's why they're being, I think, overly simplistic when they go like, man created male and female. Okay, from biology, that's absolutely correct, but we're more than our biology. And if we be very honest, you know, we talk about our souls, we talk about our emotions, we talk about our mental state. So we're more than just physically what we are. But I think it's easy for people to say, and then certainly for some of my religious folks who, you know, they only saw two sexes in Genesis, therefore it was set. Again, I asked.
But I want to mention something else too.
I just want before you do that, I'm still trying to figure out how Steve got in the garden, but we'll figure that one out. All right, man, go.
Yeah, but I mention something else too. Is that when it comes to one thing I'm noticing too, I haven't heard too much about that, but I have heard, at least among the people here that are black, is that I think they want to help. They have these social programs, but sometimes some of these social programs it could be hindrances because they're not really encouraging you to go to school. They're not helping you with anything that's going to help you because then you have family generations that are over and over in poverty. And doesn't really do anything for people too. And one thing I found out is that I think about only 40 across the nation, 43% of blacks are homeowners, and also
it's
only
even less here.
Yeah, and I think it's 43% in Colorado, and then it's nationwide. It's I mean, and also another thing too is that of all the businesses in the country, black people only own 3%. I think it's 6 or 7% with Hispanics. It's like 10% with Asians, and the white people own the rest of all the businesses. We're not talking about small businesses. And when they talk about small businesses, I always thought that small businesses were like your mom and pop and something less than 20 people. But no, the federal government considers anything that's a small business anything under 500 people. I was just shocked to hear that.
And that's
that
why
was not my idea of that's not my idea of a small business. So when they have these things, we're going to help the small business person. That's something. That's not something 500 people and less.
Yep. Yeah, I think we think about like those
that.
little sundry type of services, hair care, you know, barbershops, beauty shops, restaurants, you know, in terms of scaling up. Because, you know, in Wisconsin, we have all these small factories, right, that hire 300 people. And so that you're right, that would be considered. But that's also for tax purposes and where, you know, these companies can they can compete.
And one thing I got to say, another thing is that in your state, I mean, I don't even know how it's very difficult. Like I said, I was up there for 3 weeks. And based on what I saw was that it's a tough state to even make a living because the property taxes are very high there. And then the economy doesn't seem like overall is growing like some other states are growing, like Texas or Georgia or North Carolina, or even I would say even Las Vegas or even Arizona.
Yeah, but all those states that you mentioned have significant industries. Like if you look at Texas, obviously it's energy, right? If you look at North Carolina's research and other things, you look at Georgia, kind of the same thing in terms of where Georgia is and how, you know, particularly Atlanta. And so for me, the reason why I'm here is that my grandfather came to Milwaukee because of the factories. That is gone now. And so, You have where, and this is not just impacting, black men, it's also impacting white males, where the economy is becoming more and more suited for women because we're going to a consumer-based, service-driven economy. We're not building things here. So when Trump says, "Oh, we're going to be bringing back these auto plants or these factories to come back," at some point, the factories are saying, "You affected my bottom line," so they'll fake like they're coming back, right? So then he
Now
won't.
they said, now they had who was the washer dryer? They said they're coming back. Whirlpool said they're coming back.
Okay, I don't think that of any significance. I think they're still going to be doing the majority because all they have to do to dodge it, seems to me, is to say that we build a plant here. Well, okay, you build a plant here, but still, you're still getting your parts from other parts of the world, right?
Okay.
So there's the global economy is so complicated, and we're so
Yeah, you're right.
interdependent on. So it's not where at one point America could be pretty self-sufficient in terms of, we can grow our own food, we can feed our people. Now one of the issues with Ukraine, I think I'm all over the place, but I want to talk about the importance of Ukraine, is that Ukraine is considered Europe's breadbasket. They produce
they have a lot of wheat
whole lot of crops there in
and
Ukraine.
wheat.
So we're able to do it, but part of how we expanded our economy, and Michelle and I was talking about soybeans, right? Well, China is a billion person market, and soy is big part of China's diet. So yes, they want to be able to come in.
I'll tell you about. You were talking about soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
I do construction. I was in Iowa about when the first time Trump did this, and I was asking some Iowa farmer about that, and he says I grow soybeans. I have a 3,000 acre place in soybean. I said, how's that impacting you? And he says, well, there's a lot of things that that are happening. He says once it goes on the barge and it goes around the world before it gets to China, he said it goes to Brazil. I said that was interesting. It goes to Brazil. Then they sell their things to Brazil, the soybeans too. I was not aware of it. Then it goes to other places before it goes to China. And
yeah,
I was not even aware of that.
There's an article I just kind of perused this morning, man. I got to take a break. I appreciate you. But there's an article that I read this morning talking about the emissions from the food that we eat and how it's impacting climate change. They were saying for like in Milwaukee, we don't have as much of a carbon footprint when it comes to food because our proximity. They said dairy cows don't do the same kind of emissions that beef cows do down in Texas. So that was fascinating. You always think about how all these little things begin to, here's the big word, aggregate and then begin to have like climate impact. You're listening to Community Voice. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Community Voice. Caller, we thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. I heard you talk about a couple of things, but my question is, when is these Republican men going to realize that Joey, who's 7 years old, can't get pregnant? Because they stay trying, And then my thing is what's up with this in South Carolina that they're trying to remove rape and incest from the books? Now, I don't understand what's the purpose of incest. And with them trying to cut out affordable health care, why would you want to bring a baby here from incest with 3 eyes, 6 nose, and 4 legs? So I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And then they want to protect these Catholic priests from rape. And then I be hearing people call this radio station talking about people need to get close to God. Well, why the hell he don't tell them white nationalist Christians that? Because first of all, everybody that's black is not down with living with fear, worried about somebody coming from the clouds. And see, Mr. Parris, see what they haven't told these black people, their God came and left. He just didn't want to be bothered with them. That's why they still waiting. But we need to put this all on the table because it's getting all out of control because it's always what black people are told to do. But when the real nigga sugar honey iced tea go on, everybody, oh no, we ain't gonna talk about it. Well, I'm gonna talk about it. So my question is to you Republicans, why you keep trying to get them boys pregnant? You got prostitutes out here that probably give it to you for $5 and a bag of chips and a small bag of crack. And then y'all go sit you go sit on that nasty sugar honey iced tea box, praying to that Lord. And then you sit out here and say, oh, look at John. I'm going to see if I can get him pregnant.
I'm a boy, David. I'm a boy.
So what the hell going on? Because it seems like it's an attack. Every time something happens, they tell black, well, you better get close. Well, tell these other people they need to get close.
But you do raise a fascinating question. What does getting close to God look like? Because when I after Charlie Kirk, they were saying, oh, there was a revival in America and people are going back to church. And I'm going, yeah, but if there's been no change, what's the point of going to church? I don't know if you get special attendance points, for going to church. I think it has to be a little bit more meaningful. But if you go into church with the same nasty attitude, the same public policies that impact people negatively, I don't know if going to church is going to help. As Malcolm said, kittens born in an oven don't make them biscuits.
But then they be sitting up here. Then I see black men crying. And then all the men I see up here telling what black people need to do used to go right up here to Port Road off of Appleton where you can get 2 hours for $32 with them jump downs and them mud kickers. They probably getting some of them people that came from the South Side that's walking barefooted with their hair matted to their face. So my thing is why everybody trying to tell black people get close. You were close. Yeah, some of y'all was real close up there on Appleton at Port Roll, and let's not talk about Capitol Manor. And your wife know that young child around the street is yours because he got a big forehead just like some of y'all. So I mean, if we gonna keep it 100, let's keep it 100. But if you gonna talk about one, damn it, talk about everybody. Have a good day.
I'm up here talking about Lil Keith. Caller, welcome to the program. Somebody around the corner. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Parris. Thank you for taking my call.
Brother Christopher, good
brothers.
morning.
Yes, sir, brothers. Wow. I was listening to you all speaking, and what I wanted to add to the conversation is with regard to our mentality as a people and what we suffer from with regard to the Willie Lynch syndrome and how the scripture says that my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And when people talk about us and why it doesn't seem that we may have advanced with regard to our spending power, but collectively and productively, we're still in the red. We're not in the black. On the integers on the number scale. When you're in the red, that's negative, and when you're in the black, that's positive. And because, and because a lot of people who have come here, who are here, and they have waxed rich at our expense, and we have spent so much time always being inclusive, and we dare not to be exclusive. And the reason why we include everybody in our affairs to our detriment is because we've gone through so much. We've gone through the fiery furnace of affliction, so that will make us the best, or qualify us and quantify us as the best people to provide judgment when it comes to situations, because we've experienced the worst of humanity. Those of us, especially who've endured our sojourn here in America. And what I'm ultimately saying is, because you probably, I don't know, I'm not a psychic, and I would never attempt to say that I am, is that because we lack a collective mentality with regard to cohesion, which has something to do with adhesion, meaning sticking together. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, our unity is what is the most powerful weapon that we have. It is greater than an atomic bomb. And that is what everyone fears. And what I've noticed of late is that the last time when I looked on the television, I didn't see too many Black people in attendance at these rallies. And I was told on high by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I can say this publicly, that we were given orders not to attend any of those such gatherings. Those of us who are in the know. So don't expect us to be showing up to none of those gatherings, because we are not to attend them. Just because somebody's called a gathering, that doesn't mean that you should participate in it, because it could be detrimental to your very existence. So all in all, Mr. Parris, doesn't seem like the man here, he's the 7th president from Ronald Reagan. And I saw a meme on the internet with regard to what General Wesley Clark had said, that they had 7 nations, I think, to take down in the Middle East. And I'll go with this. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan warned us many moons ago about what we are seeing with the deployment of the National Guards and uniformed army people, or people who are military, and coming into the cities. He told us that this would be the effect of the cause, and that's why he went on a national tour, telling us to stop the killing in the 1990s. And now we see the effect of the cause. And what are we going to do as a people? What we should do, as the Bible says, that this charity begins at home and then it spreads abroad. You must first, this is not scriptural, we need to start trying to take care of our own business before we start always trying to be there for those of us who fail us right before our very faces, and then expect us to come to their beckoning call. Think about it.
No, thank you, Christopher. No, I'm laughing. I'm watching The View, and I got to go pull it up. I guess someone had asked Caroline Leavitt, who is the press secretary for Donald Trump, why well, who decided on Budapest with this meeting between him and Putin? And her response was, your mom. Ah, your mama. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing, Parris?
I'm good, man. How you?
All right. I got just a little bit of pushback on I forgot his name. That was just on there. Here's a question I have to ask for us as a black community. So, Parris, the question I have to ask you is this: when you hear the statement, "We are our own worst enemies," how do you feel about that, and do you think it's true?
In some cases, yes.
And did there ever come a time that you ever wondered why and what happened, since we're not even 100 years out of slavery?
Oh, we're more than 100 years out of slavery.
But the Jim Crow was in this.
Well, Jim Crow, but I'm saying in terms of chattel slavery, we're about what, 160 years out of slavery. But anyway.
Yeah. So I guess my point is that when it comes to we are our own worst enemies. And what does that do? Names else? I keep on forgetting his name, but whatever he said. But we will go out of our way to help other races, but we won't go out of our way to help our own. We'll support other people's business. We'll support other people's holidays. We'll support other people's causes. But when it comes to our own, we refuse to do it.
Is that true?
I think it's true.
Okay, so then let me do some pushback and be the devil's advocate here. So what about barbershops, beauty shops? What about taverns? What about, so you saying that black people don't support those businesses?
No, I'm not saying they don't support them at all. I'm just saying that we will fight and kill each other to support other people's business. Remember the Popeye chicken. And people got killed in line for a chicken sandwich. And then
it is a good chicken sandwich.
Stop it.
I mean, I'm not saying it should be a homicide related, but it is a pretty good chicken sandwich, man. You got to give the devil his due. I mean, hey.
Old man, you're gonna make me have a heart attack.
I know that too. Like in Undercover Brother, wasn't that how they were able to control black folks? They put this drug in the chicken. What was the General's fried chicken? But yeah, I think it is. I think we do. I think we can do more. I think we do, but we can definitely do more. But let me say this about business. You in business, and part of you being in business is making sure you keep your business.
Yes,
and maybe getting back to your earlier point, then sometimes we are our own worst enemy, right? Because of how we do the business, and we end up sabotaging ourselves on how we do business. So I think it's both. And I try not to be absolute, but I think it's both. I think we could do more, but we still do. I mean, just what Michelle did and putting together this community funeral. This was for us, by us. So there are all these micro examples of where we do support one another. We do turn out for one another. Now I'll respond to Christopher in terms of when he was saying that, they told not to participate in that, in those protests over the past weekend. But as student minister and I were having this conversation, all of the major black denominations told their brothers not to go to the Million Man March. They were not supporting the Million Man March because of Farrakhan. That's real talk, right? But in spite of that, brothers still went to the Million Man March. And I mean, so I think that sometimes, again, and I always say that what do we do for the collective as opposed to the individual?
Yeah.
That there were people like this division that people were trying to create between black folks and Hispanic folks, where, Dr. King supported Cesar Chavez and Chavez supported Dr. King, right? Because we look at it from our little micro thing, but talk to a Chicano in Texas during the 30s and talk about the level of discrimination, the same discrimination we faced and Alabama and Mississippi. Same thing. Now, the difference was we come out of enslavement. For them, their land is stolen. Both in my mind are equal. I'm not going to say equally as grievous because people, I'm just saying that stolen bodies, stolen land. And we're still dealing with the residual effects of that. So, yeah, I think it's both, man.
Here's another thing I wanted to bring up. I wanted to bring this to Michelle. And I have an issue with some of the things that's going on, especially the people that's getting out of prison. It's no secret. I did almost 11 years in prison, and I needed to go to prison the first time.
Okay.
I'm gonna be the first one to say I needed to go, and for what I did, I should have still been in there for the rest of my life because I should have just left it alone. But anyway, that makes long story short. When I was in prison, it's a crazy thing that you'll see people in there sweeping floors, cleaning toilets, cleaning the windows, taking care of people that's elderly and all the rest of that stuff, doing everything they're supposed to do out here. I will not lying to you. You will never catch a dust ball in the corner of a cell in a prison cell. Never. But when they get out of jail, they won't work for $7 an hour. But the highest pay rate was 43 cents an hour in prison. But they'll work for the 43 cents an hour, but they won't work for the 7.25 when they get out here. They won't help they take their mama groceries in the house that they live in. They won't help pay the light bill that they help generate. And when we get out, it seems as if some of us are okay with just being out and having no goals, no purpose, no drive, no initiative to do better. And saying, how am I going to make today better than yesterday? Okay, I know I messed up back then, but how can I be in my community? Because it doesn't take a dime for you to go in one of your alleys or to go to your neighbors and cut your neighbor's grass or to pick up the trash in the front of your house.
But
so when principals say, go ahead.
I heard this in the 60s, revolution is change of mind. I think on the federal prison system, and I can never pronounce it properly, they do this cognitive retraining where they're trying to get you not to think, I'm being real simplistic, as a criminal. And so then when you get out, but for some folks, they stuck on what they stuck on. And look, I'm in the behavior modification business, right? I could tell you that some people will get it, others won't. And I think that's your frustration. You got it.
Yeah.
But then there's still others who this is what I know. I'm comfortable for this. And this is why it's so important when citizens return that they're immediately engaged in terms of employment and other things, because for some of them, if they're not, they're going to fall back to what they know. They didn't unlearn it when they were in prison. And in some cases, you can speak to this, it only reinforced a mindset, right? If I was in the gang on the streets, I get in prison, I join a gang, I'm still dealing with a mindset. So unless I change that mindset, that's the revolution, then I'm just going to fall back. And that's not just people who are going to prison. That's those of us who walk around every day. I said it earlier, kittens born in an oven don't make them biscuits. Just because people go to church regularly does not necessarily mean that they've been converted or they embrace the very things that they're going to church to learn.
That's true.
All right.
I wish there was a platform that I could get on and get about 20 or 30 people that has been in prison and just ask the question, why? How can I see it, but you don't see it and you live by it? So I don't know if you know that.
We don't always smell our own stuff, man. And I'm really, you can be in sugar stuff.
Yeah.
the stuff. You can be in so long, you've gotten used to it. You normalize the smell. You normalize the discomfort. So yeah, it's hard for you where other people go like, damn, I stink. I need to do something about that. But that has been as long as we've had human beings, because what do we have? We have free will. And part of free will is choice. And what a choice is based on? Well, good choice is based on the best information and acting on that best information. A lot of people are in prison because of a momentary decision that was not thought out, right? And now you're dealing with the consequences of that. So, and a lot of us, and some of us never went to prison, but we've done some things where upon, what is it? They say in football, upon further review, maybe not such a good idea. Or as my buddy used to say, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
It did seem like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, it sure did.
One more thing before I go is that I'm puzzled when we confronted with this. There's this pushback. And the reason why I'm puzzled with it, because when they go to jail, we just take for instance, it's been people say, well, somebody takes something from me, or they go take something from somebody else, but they won't take nothing from the white person. Or they'll kill somebody if somebody takes something from you. Talking about something petty like a video game, or it's something real petty. But when you go to jail and the police come in your room, because they're gonna take something out your room,
Right.
something that you're supposed to have. They just don't want you to have it at that time. They're gonna take something. Why this same attitude don't carry on in there?
Power.
Why are we so quick to rob and kill each other? But when it comes to somebody outside of our race, we won't even raise our voice.
Power.
It's one of the things about people that go to prison is nobody ever reads the rule book, but everybody know all the rules.
Power.
Yeah.
It is.
You know not to talk crazy to the guard.
Right.
And you got people with 30, 40, 50 years scared to go to the hole. It's the same room.
Right. Power. All
right, y'all have a good day.
All right, you too. The amount of power that those COs have over you, they tell you when to get up, when to lay down, what to sleep, what you can wear is power. They have the power to do it. Where that person like me and Jermaine, when we look at it, we kind of similarly situated, or I'm going to try to get the advantage in terms of power. So then if we're in a fight, I just saw this big brick that's out, I think it's on my neighbor's property, but I want to move that brick because somebody could take that and throw it through. Yeah. All right, man. You're listening to Community Voice. Call, I see you. I'm going to grab you right after the break. We'll be right back.
With your host, Keith Parris.
Yeah, all of that. Got me over here pissed off. I'm feeling some kind of way. Pistivity is the word today.
Yeah. Caller, welcome to the program.
Man.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You know, I look at that. You know, a lot of people. Charlie Kirkland says that they want to start going to church. I'd rather see folks start going and try. And maybe you're in the good Bible believing Jesus preaches church. That you might start getting some sense out of things and see a different way of living in life. Because instead of them running to the bars and in the house and other people's house and not getting no kind of training, we send them to school, to these schools, and they give us this cookie cutter education and tell us this man created America. I don't like you say his name. We know he's lying. So, I'd rather see him in church. What the Bible says, forsake not the assembly of the presence of God, which the matter most people do. A lot of people, our children has lost their way because a lot of parents say, I'm not taking my children to church. I was forced. But now look at them. None of them got no spiritual sense. Don't know how to pray. Don't even know what to look for.
But, that's making the argument that the people that are currently in church are doing those things. And I'm just going to go on my experience and my vantage point is that some people not going to church are doing far better than the people who are sitting in church. That's just from my vantage point. Because when you look at some of the behavior that you see in the church.
What do you call better? What do you call better? What do you call better? Financially better?
No. I'm talking about how we treat one another.
Well, look here. You got to be taught how to do better. There are some people, true, that just have good moral sense. And nowadays, if you notice, common sense is not common at all anymore.
Right, but you know what? My
come on, brother.
My mom used to kind of say that, like, I got in more trouble for knowing better and not doing better. Okay, I'll say it one more time. Knowing better and not doing better. If I didn't know better, there's ignorance there, and you get a pass.
It's well on to you when you know better. But
I'm saying that it's hard to believe that with all the Sunday school,
what do they
and
say?
all
They
the
say
Bible
ignorance
study
is no excuse in the eyes of the law, isn't it? What they say
in the eyes of the law.
Yeah, but
when we talk about in the eyes of God, that might be different.
I know my daddy and mom taught me more sense, prayer, how to treat people, and for a while there in my early 20s, I got out there and I tried the things, and because I knew better, when I did get caught up, it was like I got a chance to sit down and reevaluate things. Right. But if I didn't have the training and the raising, the things that was taught in Sunday school and all the things that I've experienced, I don't think I would have made the conscious spiritual decision in the midst of a turmoil moment. When you don't, when you don't have it.
Well, and this conversation, others, I had we did a series back in 2024 called Faith, Justice, Politics, and people, hey man, when are you gonna do that again? But I think this time I'm gonna be more specific and really focus in then on what should be the role of the Black church in the 21st century, because
I wish you had me there.
Yeah, well, I'm because there's some challenges that we're facing as a collective, as people, as Black people. And the question is, what is the role, or what role should the church have in terms of those challenges that we're facing? Now, some people would say we have no role in that, right? One of the strains for many, many years before Ronald Reagan was Pentecostals didn't get involved in electoral politics. That changed, right? So then we see the rise of white Christian nationalism as a result.
Can we go back a little bit? How they, how they used to make sure that the people who were enslaved was taught that it was okay to be slave. It was good to obey, and they was, ill teaching the things to the people, and that's why a lot of people did turn from the Word of God, the Bible, because it was ill, and people can still ill teach it today. But then we come to that point, and now we're at a point now where people, and let me say this here. I had a fellow yesterday or the day before tell me that Trump is making it better for the black people. And I said, how are you doing that? And he's erasing our history. He's trying to erase our history, which when you start fighting towards our history and make us stand up and get a better understanding, is helping our youth say, okay, let me see what's going on. Let me see what my history about. Why are they trying to get rid of us? Why are they trying to get rid of our forefathers? Because the thing here is that when people start challenging you in areas, it makes you go and start studying a little bit more. It should, but some people I've seen that don't do better. But literally, people have said that Trump is trying to make things better for us, and I can't see that.
And let me, and this is real controversial, but you were talking about the teachings that we got, our religious teaching, our religious programming in enslavement. One of the things that they really pushed was the only book that had supremacy for us as enslaved Africans was the Bible. Not a math book. Wait a minute, let me finish. Not a math book, not a science book, none of that. And certainly not even knowing your history, right? So, I caution us against biblical idolatry. And I say that, and I know for some people that is very controversial, because they ride and die with everything, allegedly, not everything that comes out the Bible, because then once we get in, we begin to parse what we'll apply and what we won't apply. But I'm saying that it is a book. God is bigger than that book. And for some people, that book is God. Now, I'd say that there's a danger in my mind of that, because then you're trying to make the whole world fit in that book, and the world is not going to fit in that book.
The thing is that to get to learn God, to fear God is the beginning of knowledge. You got to get some, to get to understand God, to know His infallible word of God. You got to get in there, and you need a good Bible-believing preacher, because even though they put the Bible before the taught, they wouldn't allow us to read, so we couldn't get the understanding for ourselves.
When I first started, Brother Meach called in, and he asked me a question. He said, Keith, do you believe in the Bible? And my response to him was, no, I do not. I believe the Bible. I learned from the Bible, but I don't believe in the Bible like it is a God. And I think and then it was, I don't know someone was telling me this, and it's so true. It's like we're at a meeting, okay? And people began to say, well, the bylaws said, and then I asked, because I used to be a parliamentarian, this is why this is so important to me. Where are the bylaws? And why don't we just go and look and actually see what it says? Not me coming in telling you what I think it is. And I think it's the same thing with the Bible. There are things that we cite, one that's not in the Bible, or that we clearly have misunderstood, and a lot of that comes down to our teaching.
Okay.
And I think that
the Bible itself is not God, but the word that is in the Word of God, the word that's in the Word of God is, you go in there to get the word and get an understanding.
You go in there to get the truth.
Okay, but check it out. But a lot of people run around. They'll put it on their dash. They'll tear it under their arm like it is God. Okay, I can go there.
But when you go in, what are you looking for? Are you looking for truth?
You looking for biblical truth.
Okay, no, truth.
You're looking for an understanding of life.
Is there some truth is there some truth? Is there some truth that exceeds the Bible's truth?
What would you say? What would you find a truth that indicates? When you get, let me go somewhere for a second, please. A lot of people say God don't speak to you anymore, right? and I said, wow, well, okay. Once you get to understand who God truly is, you understand the word of God, you understand the voice of God. But you don't never get enough to understand who he is.
But my exegesis, and everybody's not me, my exegesis is, what is the truth? I'm trying to get to truth, because Jesus said in the Bible, if you know the truth will set you free.
Yes,
the liberating power of truth, the liberating power of knowledge. And that does not, and you know I love you, man. I know you up near heaven right now, Keon, because I try to tell him, dude, science is not a religion.
No, it isn't.
And I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing for science now as much as it is truth.
Without science, without the man sitting down and really studying, right? Without the focus of life, you won't get where we at if you never sit down and really get a study.
And I'm just saying that we should really be about the truth. It is, because some things, we can run with a lie, but I think we have an obligation to find truth. And I say it a lot. Truth will take us to very uncomfortable places, especially the older we get, because sometimes the truth pushes up against what we were taught. Right?
We can run with Trump. That's the lie, right?
I'm sorry.
We can run with Trump. That's the lie, right?
Hey, and boy, every now and then, what they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. This clock ain't even right twice a day. I just mean, dude, make up numbers. And I'm kind of going like, is that number real? I mean, and every time it just gets, because he's a businessman. He's about the hype. He's not about the substance. Part of what's happening in Gaza right now is because he has no intellectual curiosity, that he doesn't go in to do anything other than what can surfacely benefit me. He's not going in to go like, now, first of all, he said that this has been going on for 3,000 years. Wrong. It has not been going on for 3,000 years. This is something that happened in 1946 with the creation of the modern state of Israel. This is a totally different thing. So, and then why am I trusting him to have any sense of biblical history, seeing that when he went out and he talked about 2 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians went in a bar? What 2 Corinthians? Now, I guess technically that would be correct, but those of us who have any kind of familiarity with Scripture knows it's referred to as 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. All right, man, I got to get up out of here.
But I know you got to go, but let me say this here, sir. I pray from my heart that people really get an understanding and learn how to listen to what's in and what the Spirit is really speaking to, when the Spirit is speaking to the church. God bless you.
All right, man, appreciate you. And let me say, for all of the heroes in the Bible, they all have something in common. There was a truth that they would not move on. They could not be moved from that square. And that is, I had talked about why I love Christopher Hitchens so much. One, he's a great intellectual. I love he challenges a lot of things. But Christopher Hitchens was an avowed atheist. And when Christopher Hitchens found out that he had terminal cancer, there were people going like, you believe in God now? He said, I didn't believe in God when I was well. No. Now, we disagree with that position, but his willingness to stand for that. And the question becomes, for those of us, what are we willing to stand on, where you're going to go down? I'm talking about a truth. I ain't talking about some nonsense, because we'll stand on some BS and it'd be like, dude, you ain't figured it out yet. But I'm saying that those things, Dr. King stood on a truth. And in spite of all of the threats, in spite of all of the opposition, he never moved from that truth. His devotion to nonviolence resistance was consistent. When others around here were saying, dude, we don't take it. Now, whether you agree with nonviolent resistance, that's a different piece. I'm just saying that he died and he never moved from that square. Get this caller, I'm done.
You can.
You sure? No, I got to go. Okay. Hey, let me thank Michelle Bryant. Let me thank Debo, let me thank Jermaine. Callers, we thank you. The good Lord willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And as always, go from this place in peace.